Alrighty, guys, welcome to the stream here at Oakland University with Oakland University Esports. I'm Jax, joined this time by Coach Leone, the head coach for our program. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's not very often I get the time or the request to get on the mic. Normally when I get on the mic, they ask me not to get back on, but here I am. So if you're hearing background noise, I said let's not mention it. I'm going to mention it right away. We are here in the excellent Oakland Center on campus, and there is Battle of the Bands about 100 feet from the studio and from where we're playing. So as casters, we'll be battling the noise while trying to give you great content, and then our players will be battling the noise while trying to play their best League of Legends. So
and speaking of kind of a battle for League of Legends, right? Still 7-0 now, looking to go for the absolutely flawless streak for this regular season. Looking for that 8-0 win. However, right, the opposing team, right, GMU, 6-1.
Right.
So only one loss, and that one loss, I believe, was to BPC.
Yep.
So far. I can check real quick.
And we played them.
BPC. We played them last time on stream, last Thursday.
Right.
So if Oakland, never will this happen ever, but in the realm where Oakland University does lose this game, that's a three-way tie for first place, right? So kind of an interesting situation, but obviously this reality doesn't happen.
Yeah, the interesting piece of information here is we have a little bit of history with George Mason University, and I think it was the fall, we had a conference with George Mason University, and they were the team that was the 1 seed, which is the case here. They're the 1 seed, and they were the only team that we lost to in the regular season.
I see.
So we were pretty excited to play them last season, and thought that we could get the best of them, but we did not.
Yep.
And so this time around, even though they're the 1 seed, we're undefeated and they're not.
Exactly.
So we'll be hopefully trying to take revenge today. But it'll be an exciting game nonetheless. And I'm just excited to hear from the team how they feel about the new headsets that we got. This is something that we've been working on to try and make sure, because we're in a very public space. So we're trying to make sure that we can mitigate some of the noise and our team-based titles where they really do have to communicate and hear each other. We got new headsets with noise cancellation that are pretty high-tech, so hopefully that works out for them. But we'll see. We'll see.
I'm about to say my teammates on the Overwatch team definitely experienced that noise cancellation. So I think that they're pretty good, but we'll have to see if I guess the mics will pick them up nonetheless. Regardless, though, looks like players are joining lobby up here soon. In terms of the head-to-head, right? Do you know? I mean, obviously, you mentioned in fall, right? With us losing them, do we have a bit of a more occurrences with them other than last fall? Do you know?
No. I mean, just because of the way the conferences are set up, you're going to play them once during the regular season, and then you head into the playoffs. We happen to not run into them during the playoff bracket, and so we just haven't run into them since. They're not at any of the lands that we've gone to, so we haven't faced them then. But it'll be interesting. So I think it's kind of a cool thing because it just sets up the whole season. And for some of our teams that are, at the high end, they're really setting up the whole season like, okay, here's the 1 or 2 matches that will be difficult this semester. And how are we going to take down these teams? So it'll be kind of interesting. There's a Hensap there waving on the camera. He must have the stream pulled up because I don't know otherwise how he knows to be waving. We don't have the monitors set up to show them what's going on. So
that would be pretty cool, though, to see yourself playing on the.
We could just do that. I mean, it's set up.
That would be pretty cool.
There's Amazon Fire Stick set up. We've done it before, and we just don't. We don't.
Anyway,
do it
regardless, future stuff for the players, I suppose. But looking at, I guess, kind of what I would imagine a sort of draft would look like, from the OPGGs that I could pull up, there's a lot of Pantheon and a lot of melee supports from GMU's side. I know that Oakland likes to also play those champs. So I'm kind of interested to see how this draft process will work. If Oakland will look to ban out, this Pantheon, a lot of Wukong also, stuff like that. But, I mean, I guess we'll see nonetheless.
So when you're looking at that op.gg, I like to throw in as a caster.
Yeah.
You've seen me cast a few times. I really just like to throw you off as much as possible. So, Thresh.
Yes.
Is that a ranged champion or is that melee?
Definitely a melee champion.
Is it melee?
Definitely a melee champion.
Interesting. What's his range like?
Melee range.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Melee range.
I don't know.
It's would you consider Rakan a melee champ?
Yeah, I don't know.
Rakan has that same, because I understand where you're getting at, right? It's a little bit farther than, like, your all-outs or whatever. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like, if you look at Alistar autoing, he's got to be right next to somebody. Thresh?
But can you outrange, like, a Lucian? Like,
no.
You know,
but that's not quite, like, what ranged means.
Can you outrange a Nyla that has her Q passive?
I don't think Thresh outranges almost anybody.
Exactly.
He outranges the melee champions, and that's why he's right in the middle ground.
The middle ground. He outranges
it's a gray area.
He outranges like the people without a chain, I guess.
All right, so when Thresh kills somebody and takes their soul,
yeah,
what happens to the soul? He just keeps them in the little lantern, and
yeah,
just kind of torments them?
actually. Not only does that happen in game, but that's actually also canonical to League, right? Because he's like the, in terms of the lore, right? He's like the keeper of the Shadow Isles or something like that, right?
Okay.
Or the Void Realm or whatever.
So that's
why
he's like tormenting Lucian and taking his wife and stuff.
That's Viego, I think.
No, it's Senna, right? Senna's
Viego
Lucian's wife.
No. But yes, Senna is Lucian's wife.
Yeah.
But Viego, I think, is trying to take.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like the Ruined King, right? So he's trying to take Senna back, essentially.
You know so much more about the lore than I do.
I think this is the case, but
I want to argue the point only because I played the game when Thresh was out and Viego was not out.
I guess you
got
the point.
So the fact that I know this information means it kind of has to be Thresh.
I think
can't be Viego.
You've actually got me there.
Because
I
would not have heard of it. I wouldn't know anything about Viego's lore.
I think that we can agree that maybe it's just both.
No. We can agree to disagree,
Never mind,
but we cannot agree that it's both.
Yeah, in the what do you call it? The cinematic, I guess. There's like a cinematic short,
right?
Talking about Viego and like the mist comes through, which is like Senna's whole thing, right? It's like the mist, and then Viego comes through and like tries to like take her, but Lucian,
oh my goodness.
Lucian manages to do something about it.
Okay, so you're saying they just both try and take Lucian's wife. Okay, that's
I'm saying that Senna's a pretty popular girl, I guess.
Okay, that's kind of messed up. That's wrong. But
I guess it is a little bit wrong, right? I mean, Senna doesn't want it, right? So, you know.
Riot Games coming up with thrilling lore nonetheless, but
yeah, they're changing some of that lore too with the show, you know.
Okay, kind of adjusting it. Arcane, fantastic show. Obviously, anybody tuning in to the stream has seen it.
Oh, for sure, everyone, obviously. So we can spoil absolutely everything.
Yeah, that's right. I want to see more.
Anyway, getting into draft here. So we have from GMU choosing blue side here, or I don't actually know if it. Whichever one. Anyway,
yeah, the
regardless. Belveth, Yone bans, pretty common for both of those players from GMU. We do see the Darius ban banning was Zex Darius, a pretty good option. The Zyra and the Zeri ban, looking at maybe some Bensab on the Zyra, and then Bully obviously being a pretty good carry. ADC, that Zyra being a really nice scaling champ. Definitely one of his better ones.
Something we haven't talked about today, because we just started.
Yep.
This is a fearless draft.
It is.
Right. So fearless means any champion that's picked during the draft is now unavailable for the following games in a best of 3. It could be up to 3 games. Banned characters is not a part of that list, but anybody picked. And so that's a really interesting new addition to competitive League of Legends and collegiate League of Legends. I really wish was out there before because it's just a much more interesting part of preparing to draft against a specific team. And it's really a way to be able to scout another team and take them down in a way that doesn't have anything to do with gameplay in-game.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't one trick anymore, right? So like now Wukong, Pantheon gone for the rest of the series, regardless, and Karma now too. So Karma, is that going to be a Hensap Karma, or do you think that's going to be a Shaggy Karma? I think maybe it's a flex.
Yeah, it's definitely a flex pick. I like it better on Hensap, but it's definitely a flex pick. It could go either way. And the fun part about being in here and casting is that after the game, I probably get to hear from the players and coach about all the things that I said that they disagree with.
Exactly.
And so it's really nice to have that immediate feedback on stuff that.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember last week, but I asked Bensep what their strategy was going into Game 2, and he said they didn't have one. Yeah. So, they also might just not have a strategy in general.
They lost Game 1. What'd you do to change to go into Game 2? He goes, nothing really. Right?
We just played better, I guess.
And then Coach Franklin was like, we changed a lot. What do you mean? And it's like, I think the lights got to him. You get under the lights, you're sweating a bit. Yeah. It's hard to give good answers.
Okay, so here's a Corki Nautilus pick. So that Corki also probably a flex here. I don't know how much in terms of collegiate Corki has played mid, but it's a pretty common pick for Pro League too.
Yeah, I mean high-level collegiate kind of likes to just copy paste whatever's doing well in the pro scene right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if it also goes mid here. I like to look overall at like the team comps and right now. You've got a lot of like team fight potential from GMU, a lot of AoE, CC through Wukong and Nautilus. There's a lot of good engage in there, Wukong being a flank engage champ there. Karma, I think, is a really good response to those kind of champions. Nautilus tries to throw out a hook. A really good Karma throws out like the RW, speeding up the whole team and giving the shield. That little bit of extra movement speed at a high-level League of Legends means that they dodge the hook when they normally don't.
Right.
And so that's really impactful. And same thing with Wukong. Like if they spot him on a ward, he's trying to flank engage. Karma can just get the whole team out of there.
Yeah.
And so I really like the Karma pick here. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the team kind of unfolds.
Yeah, I think that Oakland can look for a pretty good both like hybrid comp of like dive and poke here, right? With his Kaisa and the Pantheon. Or I guess the Karma, I guess, for the poke, right? With the Mantra Qs. The Pantheon and the Kaisa both being pretty good dive champs also. So I guess we'll see nonetheless with the also double, we see Mozek's set be banned and then also the Aurora ban here, more targeting mids on Oakland side also with that Galio and Akali ban.
So to just throw us way off track now, Kaisa, used to be an incredible ARAM champion, right? Because you're going full AP and you're nailing people. I feel like she's not as good anymore now that they've done champion-specific nerfs and they've really kind of tuned all the champions. What if League of Legends came out of the game mode for like 2 days and said, no nerfs or buffs ARAM, just go nuts? That'd be so fun. Just playing actual damage Kaisa without the nerfs.
No nerfs
so
or
fun.
buffs. What do you mean by that?
No changes.
No changes.
Summoner's Rift champion, put him on ARAM because there's champion-specific nerfs and buffs and the healing reduction and all this stuff. Get rid of all that and let me just play a game and let's see how it goes.
I think that you'd get kind of ran off by like by like your Sorakas, your.
Oh no, you get poked out for sure.
Yeah. But that's what Soraka's for, though.
Oh yeah, I guess I hear what you're saying. I thought you were saying too much healing, but yeah, just they would just poke you out, and it'd be so fun if you're the champion poking them out.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Hey, it's an important topic. We need to bring that up to Riot.
That is true, actually. I think that we should go and post to Riot. Maybe go to what are they in Anaheim or?
I'm not really sure where they're based. I thought they were based out of LA. No.
I don't know.
I thought they were based out of LA, but you know what? Either way, I don't think a letter will suffice. I think we need to go down there as.
I think we should go knock on their door,
and make sure they add this.
We should go code it ourselves. I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
If they do add it, I do want to cut. At this point, whatever skins they sell as a result of this game mode,
Did you hear about the Garen Pengu skin?
No, I don't know what that is.
Do you know what Pengu is from TFT?
I've never played TFT. I can't do it because I'll get addicted and then I won't do my job.
Yeah, but do you know what he looks like?
No, I have no idea.
He's like a little chibi penguin.
Okay.
Right? League released a bunch of skins, or like they did a bunch of skin highlights, and one of them is Garen as a penguin.
And And he can like play on the map as a penguin.
Yeah.
Does he have a little sword? That's incredible. I love that. What?
That's him.
This isn't like a mod.
This is real.
That's live gameplay.
This is real.
It just doesn't even look like League of Legends.
They have this. They have Hot Dog Nefiri. There's Grill Master Braum. There is it's like people are calling it Toilet Urga.
This is wild to me. I've never seen a League of Legends skin where they took the character and just replaced him with a different model. Totally different. What the heck? I mean, see, that one I'm more okay with because it's like that's still supposed to be the character, I guess. Like they did Human Rise.
Yeah.
Kind of similar in that way. But to just take the champion out and just be like, all right, here's a penguin. Swinging a sword.
That one apparently is like an April Fool's only kind of thing.
Okay.
There's also
I was gonna write in the streets. I was gonna add that to the thing.
There was Sandcastle Malphite. Actually was really cool.
Riot Games making some impactful changes here.
I like Sandcastle Malphite.
Okay. Yeah, see, I like that.
And then
there's
Cat Shaco.
Oh yeah, I saw this actually. I thought that looked cool too.
It definitely is interesting. Here's the grilled Braum. His shield is like a kebab shawarma thing.
This whole time during this conversation, I wish production would have pulled all these images.
Oh, actually,
up
I think that should have happened. I kind of am disappointed now that it didn't.
Yeah, we kind of have to fix it so that we can just like, here you go, and just put it right up on the screen. Do ESPN style broadcast.
Yeah, circle it. So. But nonetheless, players are in lobby, so they're going to look to start up here soon. I guess now that the draft is kind of done.
Hey, we didn't finish talking about the draft. Why did you throw us way off
sorry,
course?
My bad.
With this conversation.
Sorry. The Braum doing a pretty good. Also, what you were saying here with this, like the CC and the dive and stuff. Braum's pretty good character against that. However, it's a pretty bad matchup into Rakan. So, we'll see how the lane goes without lane swaps and whatnot, right? Also, the Ahri pick I think is a little interesting. I wasn't really expecting it, but I guess they needed AP, right? Also, that's like an art. Is it Corki top? Wait, no, it's a Nautilus top actually.
Oh right. Yeah, Rakan being.
It's a Nautilus top. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't think I've seen much of Nautilus top. So this would be interesting.
The only time I've seen it is with like Cadrill's team, like because Baus plays it.
Maybe it's pretty good. Yeah, who knows?
I can
see it. I can see it being okay. I mean, just like what a top laner kind of does. I mean, you could think of it like an Ornn. As long as he can do the laning phase, he's useful in team fights as a result, and he's got some one-on-one potential in there with like the shield and the autos and.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? It's gonna be maybe a little annoying into Alawi, right? Because I feel like if the Nautilus hooks into the Alawi, Alawi should get a pretty good trade. Right?
Yeah, what Nautilus might do here, and this is kind of sometimes when you have these matchups where like you can't just fight the champion, he might max E and just be clearing the
waves. Yeah,
just clear the wave out, and might even like try and roam as a result because he knows he can't do anything into Alawi. There's zero chance Nautilus 1v1s Alawi in this game.
Yeah, not very likely at all.
Actually zero. I don't know how that could happen.
I don't think it can unless for some reason Nautilus goes like 5-0 in 5 minutes.
How could he go 5-0 when he's facing Alawi in lane, right?
I mean, maybe like a hard feed. I don't know, some like really good ganks from this Wukong.
Level 1.
Yeah.
He gets all 5. He gets a pentakill
That's what
level
I'm saying.
1.
Maybe,
comes back
starts
to lane.
E instead of Q. I don't know. It's like
comes to lane with a full item and just starts like blade.
Comes to lane with he goes on hit Nautilus.
Yeah.
Like I mean.
Yeah. Nautilus with Blade of the Rune King and just starts taking her down.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, either Nautilus can go like AP or Nautilus can go like tank.
He'll go tank. He'll go tank and just not try.
We might see
like
a Riftmaker.
Yeah.
Riftmaker or Roa.
Yeah, I just don't see Nautilus trying to win the lane, and that's okay. Yeah. I mean, with competitive League of Legends and high-level collegiate League of Legends, a lot of the times you're picking not for your lane, but for what's going to work for the team, because you don't see as much variance in the early game as you do in solo queue, where if you lose your lane, sometimes you just never get to mid game. You never get to do those team fights, and a lot of the times in collegiate, you're going to get to that mid game. So if you do terrible early because you picked a bad matchup, it's okay because you'll get there, and then it'll be worth it later. So you're just trying to survive.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes. The thing about the roaming that you had mentioned is I'm not sure if it'll be that effective, right? The lane swap mechanic might actually kind of mess that up a little bit, unless the Nautilus goes all the way bot. But then, I mean, what do you do?
You just go mid for a quick gank and then run back top.
Yeah, but it has to be after 5 minutes, or else it's kind of like a big loss. That's like a substantial debuff if you trigger that lane swap mechanic. But nonetheless, they're finishing the loadouts now. We're going to get into our spectator delay in a second here. So I think we're going to cut it to a quick break, and we'll come back when the game starts.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, we're going to get in-game here as we see maybe a full rotate bot here. Hensap's also going. Maybe trying to catch someone out. Let's see. Does Oakland have a good level 1? Yes, they do, because Braum, yeah? So...
Yeah, Braum's incredible level 1, just getting that stack and being able to stun multiple champions with an auto or with a Q through a team effort. But I think GMU is smart enough to know that that is a threat, and so they just give a quick 5-point, make sure nobody can enter their jungle without being seen, and they'll get away with it too.
Yeah, looks like Wazek ends up back in here looking to go top, and then obviously normal lanes after with this new change. Let's see. I mean, how do we think lanes will go here? I think that Oakland should be pretty okay. I think they like the mid lane, and I think they like top lane. So.
Yeah, we like top lane a lot. It'll be interesting to see what the junglers go towards, because you can make a case for pathing toward top and trying to make that lane worse for Nautilus, or just knowing you're going to take the free win and so you focus mostly on mid-bot, try and get 2 winning lanes in that way. And kind of the reverse deal for GMU. You know it's terrible for Nautilus, or we're assuming it's terrible for Nautilus. I mean, we'll see, but we're assuming it's terrible for Nautilus, so maybe you just leave them,
look at those grass
or
stack.
you try and help them.
Yeah.
As a jungler, you know, in the past, I always lean toward leave that guy alone and just let him lose gracefully.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and go towards a lane that's already going to win or has a good chance to win, and I'll leverage that for my team. I did that because, or a lot of junglers did that, or do that because if you go to the lane that's going to lose and then you fail, you've now wasted all of your resources.
Exactly.
And the enemy jungler is going to be impacting the other side of the map. So it's really, you get punished heavily. And it's much worse if you try and gank the losing lane and then it fails, especially if they turn it around 2v1, which is like the nightmare scenario, you know?
Right.
Playing jungle and you see a Darius or an Alawi on the other team, you just never want to go toward that lane because you might just die also.
Ooh. Big trade here for Bensep. Yeah, we actually saw Oakland get pushed in a bit there, and the Recon got a pretty deep ward actually onto Oakland's Gromp there, so they know where Bensep is right now. Both junglers are clearing bot. So we're going to have to see. This might be a 3v3 bot, but it also might just be a fight over Crab.
Yeah, it could just be trying to get the resources, like you said, Crab. Oh, the Scuttle. You know, you play a champion like Nidalee with some skill shots and no CC, and you miss that Scuttle way too much. You know, it's I'm not ashamed to admit it. Oh yeah, with the spear, I've missed way too many Scuttle Crabs because no way to slow it down. We are fighting over it.
Oakland does manage to secure it in a little bit of a skirmish here now after Bensap is a little late. Shaggy going very low. The Ignite comes through, but it does manage to live in the end. Now Bulyu is going to be able to try to bounce back a little bit here, also with the help of Bensap. However, all 3 players from GMU do manage to get out.
Yeah, a little bit lucky to be able to get out of there alive. Corky did have Flash, so could have finished it off. But just maybe felt like the Ignite was going to kill him anyway.
Yeah, that definitely might have been the option. But nonetheless, Bensap is going to look to try to hover bot as they know that Wukong's still here. Hensep with another good trade almost. It's a decent trade. And looking back, now Wazek's basing, looking to probably get something pretty big here. I'm not sure yet. Picks up a pickaxe. It's pretty good. As a fight bot, Shaggy is back, though. Bulyu now half HP, trying to go and fight in. The stun does come out. The cleanse, however, able to be there in time. And Bulyu flashes, does not quite get the kill. Oh, but the first blood picked up by Shaggy. This might be a double kill. Bot the flash forward from the Corky. The stun does come through, and the double kill for Shaggy.
Shaggy getting the double kill here is actually really funny. That he's going to walk away with both kills. A little bit tragic, but at the end of the day, I can't blame him for taking the kills because it was such a close fight. Especially the first kill. There was no way Bulyu was going to be able to clean that up. So it was well played by the Oakland squad in a very close fight. GMU got baited in a little bit because I don't think they knew that Shaggy was returning to lane at that exact moment. And so just a heads-up play by the fellows here.
Yeah, nice. Oh, does get the plate, so 125 for Wazek. Does get root on the way out, and actually also takes the tower shot. Kind of a lot of damage. Has to back out quite a bit here. Looks like junglers are going to be looking to path bot here soon. Wukong is seen on ward, so looking to have Wazek play a little bit safer. Break is up, so maybe little bit of a game.
Here's the thing, though, is like, if Wukong and Nautilus try and kill Alawi, I don't think they do. Even at half health, I think he's going to live.
Yeah, but Zek does have ult.
This is scary here because he's going to heal so much.
Yeah.
They're playing it smart by backing up, but look at all of this health Zek has, and I feel like he knew this, and that's why he wasn't worried about him. Saw him on the wards and just decided, I'm going to fight you and maybe turn it around.
Oh. Yeah.
He came out with more health after that gank.
They actually healed off of that.
So much more
an engaged bot. Let's see, the shield is up for Shaggy, though. Not a lot of damage from the E from the Corki. The W is in, however, and nothing really can happen from Oakland's side. A little bit too low on health.
So if we look at that scenario, and again, I'm just going to be talking from a jungler point of view. Wukong goes up top, tries to gank, takes about 30 seconds to do that. In the meantime, Bensap's over there on Pantheon taking Drake by himself. And so now he's taking Wraiths, or is it it's Raptors now? I'm sorry. Taking Raptors now from enemy jungle Wukong. So like I talked about at the very beginning, you're wasting a lot of time trying to gank that lane, and it was totally unsuccessful.
A bit of a fight bot here. Let's see. Wukong does, or the Rakan does go back in. Kaisa, however, does die. Bully does get
Can he jump to a minion?
Oh, Shaggy does 1 HP. Can the Rakan go in with the W? No. Looks to just back up and play safe here. However, Bensap is here. The Wukong has to E out. Any follow-up here. Bensap does get the stun. The Rakan goes back in with the W. Bensap's super low HP. The Corki just free-firing, and looks like it's going to be 2 kills to Corki. W comes through. Valkyrie in. The Rocket does manage to find a hit in the end.
Yeah, some mechanical misplays there. I think some of the Pantheon autos went on to the ADC instead of Rakan, and kind of leads to a reverse there. So yeah, that was rough. That's not great. That's not what they wanted out of that gank. But to be fair, I think GMU saw it coming a little bit and started heading upriver instead of back into Pantheon, and so that's why it worked out a little bit better for them. But let's, we're at 8 minutes now. So I like to kind of take stock of CS counts and see how we're doing. So, oh shoot, it's all kind of staggered here. But mid lane is even on CS.
Yep.
Top lane,
yeah,
we got a little bit of a gap going on
Top
here.
lane is currently up about 1,000 golds.
Yeah.
If I look at this
so
properly.
30 CS up with Zach. Now, no kills, right?
Yep.
But when you're talking about top lane or laning in general, at a higher level, it's really not too much about kills. Getting a CS lead means, it's a lot of gold. Big gold difference, like you said, 1,000 gold.
It is. We actually look also as Hensep is also up, however, only 4 CS. This trade is going to be pretty good, about even, I guess, at the end, actually. However, the big thing to look at is how we were talking about before with, actually, as I say that, Shaggy comes up for the gank, does hit 1, hit 2. The stun does come through, however, the Q does hit, but no mantra with that. Anyway, what we were talking about with Bensap looking at taking the dragon and the Wukong taking the grubs afterwards. Actually an ult here from Bully. The cleanse does come out from attack helicopter, but this is maybe just a solo kill for Bully out of nowhere.
Right,
I can't even get to talk about the CS lead that our jungler has. Lazek here around tower does get the 3rd plate now. Ult does come out from Bishop, however, the ult comes out from Wazek in the end also.
Yeah, the lane is so mismatched that he can just kind of fight him under tower a little bit and take a few tower shots and not have to worry about it. But yeah, that's definitely one of Boldiyu's strengths. He's a very aggressive...
Oh, wait, is this also a solo kill? Oh, look. No mantra Q, though. Oh, the flash does have to get burned. Yeah, this is also a byproduct. Now, Bensap is up a full level over Hydrashi on the Wukong. So, it's looking very, very good for him. We'll see. The E doesn't quite connect, no root. However, the Corki does move up, and it's a bit of a skirmish here. Now a big fight. Hensep does manage to flash out. Shaggy is caught, and we'll see the flash comes through. However, the flash from attack helicopter does manage to pick up Hensep in the end.
GMU squad in the right place at the right time and take down Oakland in that fight. A little bit too deep into the enemy jungle. Take him down. Really interesting interaction happened there where the Ahri charm interrupted the Pantheon stun. So Pantheon was headed in for the stun, and Ahri was able to interrupt him in the middle of it, which if he had gotten that stun off, it would have looked a lot different. So it's, it's one of those interactions where it could have gone either way. You're looking at the enemy jungle and you're just trying to get a quick pick. and a little bit of luck or just, well played by the Ahri turns the whole thing around.
Yeah. I'm interested to see now, because Wazek does pick up the Sunder Sky now, right? This Nautilus is not going to be really able to play much at all. This Alawi is going to be healing so much.
And the turret's going down soon. This whole time he's getting this huge CS lead, and then he's also blowing up the tower because he can take a few tower shots and then just heal it up. Oakland on the grubs here.
Yeah, they're looking to pick up. They have, they almost have one down. There is the first one down. And looking to get some more. So 3-3 grubs is what Oakland's trying to get in the end, so that's pretty good for them in terms of, well, I actually don't know. GMU doesn't have that many side laners, aside from maybe Ahri, so the grubs don't really matter too much for them. But nonetheless.
Just taking it away from Oakland is probably what matters there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that play was really interesting because it all came down to the enemy support, the Rakan, was not in the right place or didn't know that was happening.
Oh, there's a solo kill on a tower. And we also have a bit of a fight bot here. Bully does. Oh, the ult comes out onto the Corki. The ult comes through also from the Kaisa. However, the mid laners here from the side of GMU. Oh, Bensep is here. Flash Q does manage to hit. The stun comes out onto the Rakan also. Can they follow up this kill? Bully taking a lot of damage from that REQ, however, does have to back off in the end.
Look at that Corgi. Corgi, I'm sorry, excuse me. That is a
Corgi.
That is a dead Corgi over there. But yeah, well played by both teams, really. I mean, this is something that I'm seeing from GMU that seems to be a strength, is that they're very responsive to these fights.
Yes.
When you pick a fight with a member or two, multiple other GMU members get there in time toward the end of the fight. So we'll see how that turns out later when you have more like choreographed team fights with all 5 members.
Yeah, we will have to. I mean, in terms of gold lead, right? Oakland University has the 2K gold lead in 12 minutes. Not so much as what necessarily used to, but a lot of this gold lead is onto the top jungle for Oakland, and those are some pretty good champions to have a gold lead on.
Yeah, the saving grace for GMU. Oh, we might have a dragon fight here.
Ooh, we do a little bit. Oh, the steal comes out from GMU. However, the big Rakan ult as well, and the Wukong ult doing so much damage also. However, as I say that, the W from Bensep does manage to pick up some kills. Bully able to not quite get the finish off. Though Ahri's still in this fight. Shaggy and Bensep trying to do a lot. Bensep gets up another kill. And this Corki, however, doing so much damage. Can Bensep finish it off? The stun and the Q manages to finish the last kill.
What a huge fight that was. At the end of the day, it looks like Oakland took more kills out of that 4-3. But lost the dragon because of the steal there. So
yeah. Also, that Corki getting a lot of those kills in the end. I mean, the kills are very nice, obviously, onto Bensep, but you really want to see these go into Bully, especially early on, to get those evolved abilities up.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have Wazek in the top lane taking over the game. He does this pretty often.
Yep.
He's a very aggressive player. The entire enemy
the ult
team
comes
is up
through,
here.
however, and he's healing still. The W comes out from Rakan. This Corki is doing some substantial damage, but that slam doing a lot of damage also. It actually lives still. The slam comes through. The E comes through. Does manage to pull out the Corki. However, the shutdown does go to the Corki also. So that's a lot of gold now. 7-4. Bensep is going to try to look and try to get the kill on the Rakan here. However, the E through and does manage to pick it up in the end. The Ahri does ult through and charm Bensep, but ooh.
It's a really smart idea from Oakland to go ahead and get into the enemy jungle, knowing that the entire enemy team was so low after that fight.
The ult comes
They're
through
gonna
from
get
Bully.
this,
Yep, gets the kill in the end. Bensep now needs some help here. Does have Shaggy and Bully to come through. The Q from Bully does manage to pick up the kill, and onto the Ahri also. The trade through from the Corki, however, and Bensep and Shaggy will also be picked up by attack helicopter as well. The double kill through, however, Bully does pick up 3.
This is a weird game. I mean, they're fighting in the middle of the jungle. They're kind of out of nowhere. Normally you fight over the objectives that are going on.
We almost have 2 kills a minute.
Yeah, and what we're seeing is they're just fighting over Alawi's dead corpse, you know? You killed my Alawi, I'm going to go kill you. Oh, you killed my teammate, I'm going to... So, it's interesting. I wouldn't say it's, I don't think that's a really high-level strategy, but both teams are in it for the slugfest, trying to beat each other up, and it's definitely entertaining. We've found that 4 members can take down Alawi, but it's close.
It is Alawi with ult. Now it also is working on I'm pretty sure the Muramana now, off that Phage? I don't know.
Yeah.
Off the Warhammer. I have to look at what they're looking at.
If he had hit a few more Qs in that exchange, he might have been able to pull it out, and survive. And once Alawi kills like one of those 4 people, 2 or 3, it just kind of ramps because she's got so much sustain.
She does.
That you kind of have to just burst her down. So if you lose a member, you're in a tough spot. So this will be interesting because I don't know who can challenge Alawi late game in a side lane.
It's definitely just going to be Corki, right? Corki
clearing the wave.
Or Corki or Ahri, depending on this Ahri builds into Leandries or not. I mean, 2 Fiendish Codexes, I'm not sure what she's building into, but
I don't see how Ahri could stop Alawi at all.
I mean, I guess we'll figure out right now.
Yeah.
Was Zek actually going in for that tier 3?
Yeah.
Does knock up the Ahri. I want to go see more. However, a bit of a fight here. 2 fights on different grounds. Wazek doing some substantial damage. Now Oakland's pushing towards mid lane. Wazek, however, still looking to take this bot tier 3 and does so, plus 400 gold. And the fight mid lane is still waging, actually. That's actually almost a solo kill onto the Ahri. Here comes the rest of GMU, however. Wazek does need to get out, does get hooked. The Corki is here doing some pretty good damage with that E. The ult comes through, and this is a dead Wazek in the end. Couldn't get that ult off.
Really close, and it's cool to see that Oakland is here pushing mid, getting this tower while they're so distracted with Alawi. It's actually okay in these situations for Alawi to die till 3 or 4 members, as long as we go get objectives as a result. And that's what you're seeing here. So we got a mid tower, looking for a second one, and now we just want to get out.
Yeah, this Drake spawning in 13 seconds, Wazek is not going to be up for it and does not have TP. So this might be pretty dangerous. However, Nautilus also TP'd into this. So we're going to see if Oakland can get anything off of this. The engage does come through. However, that's a big recon ult in the end. Charms all 4 players. However, this Nautilus not living for very much longer, although, as I said, it does manage to get out. 4v3 now. As the team's kind of posture, everyone backs off.
Nobody died. And the crazy thing is there was a fantastic Nautilus hook in the middle of that fight that pulled in Bulliu into the enemy team, still survived. Had to burn both flash and barrier, but got out. So GMU in a position where they can take down this Drake, although Wazek is here, and we found that the entire enemy team has to try and stop Wazek. So we'll see how that goes.
Turn a little bit. Corki is so low damage, or so low health. Oh, Bensap does go in, however, just dies for it. This Corki, however, 1 HP. Wazek in, almost has, actually does have ult just in a second here. Might look to fight over this. However, no jungler for the side of Oakland. Is a little dangerous to fight over this Drake. The ult does come through. Wazek does manage to kill. And Bulliu also dead, however, from the Nautilus in the end. 2 for 2 now. 3v3 coming out. Actually, I'm sorry, 3 for 2.
It might as well be 5v3. Wazek is way too big.
Wait, they actually get the Drake here?
Yes.
GMU's backing off? Okay.
They can't fight Alawi. They don't have an answer to it, so they just leave.
So they're looking to take mid-tier 1 here and rotate top, maybe looking at some of these jungle camps. Yeah. Otacon, however, is spawning in 30 seconds also. So this will be the Rose one. So looking at next Drake, or I guess it's Mountain Soul, right? So that's I don't know if you know how the Otacons work or not. So there's a red Otacon and a black Otacon. The black one gives you the roses. Roses give you experience and adaptive force for each one that you have. Also, if you slay the black one, all of your passive, like all of your neutral objectives, get a 25% buff. So Mountain Soul will give you a larger shield, Grubs give you more damage, stuff like that.
Okay. Gotcha.
So we see Runa's Otacon will spawn bot. However, this version of Otacon, if you fight it, does shred all of your resistances, basically. So teams can kind of fight over it a little bit, but it's very dangerous with those resistances.
You start attacking it, you get into a team fight, you're pretty vulnerable. Yeah, that's cool. I like that mechanic. That's good. I still don't know what GMU is going to do about Wazek here on the Salawi. He's
actually
just a
picks
monster.
Up the Black Cleaver also.
Nautilus throws out the ult just to get him to walk away from the tower for a second, which I don't even know if I can blame him because I don't know what else he could do.
Although, as I say that, Bensep gets caught out a little bit here with that the Horizon focus from the Ahri. Does manage to back out off of the Scuttle Crab there, Shaggy there, to put up the shield and make sure that no further damage comes through. Looks like they maybe want to fight this, though. The ult comes down onto the Ahri, and the Recon ult comes through. However, does manage to charm two. Pull you in there. The ult does come out, but I'm not sure if it's that good from what he wanted. Was that just free taking this as looking back to mid? Everyone's just 1 HP and trying to live.
Yeah, that was a really close fight. A little bit aggressive by Bully going in there and almost got away with it. Oakland still pushing because Wazek is coming into the back.
Damage. Here comes Wazek. Yeah, as you said, the E does come through onto the Corki. That's a lot of damage. However, the snapback does manage to come through. And here comes Bensep with the ult. Wazek actually manages to kill Recon off screen, and the Nautilus does go down there. Attack helicopter trying to get out, does manage to get his blast cone and get out.
Call an ambulance, but not for Oakland. Wazek joins a team fight, and what do you know? We take him down. Scumbag Joe, Shaggy, steals a kill in there, so 3 kills now on Braum. Probably took it with an auto attack.
I bet.
Whenever I see a support getting kills, I just get a little bit upset.
As a support player, we don't want it usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do, but.
Yeah, I've played with way too many support players who just didn't care. They were reckless with those auto attacks toward the end of the fight. But regardless, Oakland, 5K gold lead up, this is an interesting style, and this is why for people who don't play League of Legends, sometimes it can be kind of tough to understand who's winning a game and why. The score line as far as kills is even, for all intents and purposes. But the gold difference is massive. 5K gold lead at 20 minutes, really big. Braum caught out here, almost certainly going to die, although he backs up.
That's a huge ult from Shaggy, however. Wazek in and does manage to pick up another kill from the choke here. Wazek, the Sterix does get popped, and the Recon ult is kind of large, actually, ulting onto 4 people. Shaggy very low. Bully does ult in, and Bensep does manage to pick up the Otacon in the end. A bit of a trade there from both ADCs. Can they get the flowers here? Hensep and Bensep trying to get a lot done. The charm does come through onto Bensep also. Does manage to pick up 1 kill on the Ahri here. Ease comes through. Shields onto this Ahri. However, Bensep doing a lot of damage with that Q. The W from the Recon and the double kill. Actually, Bensep doing some nice protection there.
Yeah, Oakland able to pick up the fight, and it didn't go so well at the beginning because Alawi had those resistances shredded, as you had talked about, and then also something happened with her ult. I didn't quite see it, but I think it might have gotten interrupted where it didn't quite go off. Ahri charm or something, because I didn't quite see it actually go, and in that choke point, I can't imagine how Alawi would have actually died had the ult gone off. But
I don't know. I didn't think that Alawi could. I don't think that she had it. I don't think that Wazek had it. I don't think it can be canceled.
Okay.
But maybe I'm wrong. Regardless, though, Oakland does manage to pick up a bunch of those flowers and win the fight 3-5 in terms of kills. Looking at the next Drake spawn, looking for Soul Point if Oakland gets it. Baron also spawns in 45 seconds, so maybe that's a bit of a contention here. Also, another fight, however, in the jungle, the Recon does get caught out. Shaggy up super far. This Corki doing a lot of damage. That Rocket does take a lot, actually, off of Wazek also. However, this Dragon start, and I don't think it's going to be much of a contest from the side of GMU.
This game, Game 1, best of 3, is officially Oakland's game to lose. If they lose this game, it's because they've made mistakes. GMU making a really smart play. We can't fight them at the Drake 1 person down, so we're going to go take mid tower. That's really smart, trading objectives when you're down. Although Pantheon way in the backline.
Bensep in so deep, does get charms, gets root, gets ulted. Actually picks up. He almost lived that. That's kind of crazy. Wazek does get charmed as well. Wazek walking forward still onto this Nautilus maybe. The flash does come through. However, Bully with the ult does manage to pick up that kill. And so now both top laners the jungler from Oakland and the top laner now from GMU out of the fight. We'll see. With the jungler out, I think that Oakland's going to look to probably play this slow a little bit, have Wazek pick up some health. Also, Hensab looks to back here. Does manage to pick up the Cosmic Drive off of his back also.
Well, they ended up trading, and that was good for Oakland because at the end of the day, it looked like Bensap might have just die there and be able to
here
get
comes
away.
Wozek actually looking to bully this. Oh my
He wins
gosh,
this
that
fight.
Q or that W doing so much damage. Hensap does get caught out here, however. Can Wozek look to pick anything off in the end? The Rakan W does come out. The charm, Wozek taking a lot of damage here.
Nope.
Ooh, the ult from the Ahri. The Sterix does get procced here, so this is maybe a little bit dangerous. However, oh my gosh, that Braum ult lands out of 3. The cleanse does come out. Bulyu picks up another kill. Wozek with 2 in the end. The jungler dead. This might be just Baron going over to the side of Oakland. Wozek also just pushing forward, trying to kill his Ahri. However, the Nautilus here to block the rest of that. Wozek actually...
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Whoa, takes a lot of
I don't think you heal off the Baron there, so be careful.
Yeah, it does reset a little bit.
Goodness.
Oh my gosh. Wozek.
Go back to base, buddy. This
Wait,
is,
here comes the Nautilus. This actually might be a little bit dangerous. Here comes the Ahri with the ult. The charm does come through onto Bensep as well. However, does just manage to make it out so far. Shaggy there with the shield. The Nautilus actually goes in too far. The charm, however, big onto Shaggy. Wozek there trying to get the kill. One more shot. The E does not land. Wozek tries to get the slam through. The charm, however, in the W. Bluetooth auto attack trades with the Q.
What a wild game this is, and it's so funny that they went for the Baron, not like without Bensap, who probably would have been tanking the Baron, and they got so low that they could trade there. This is a scrappy game. You can tell both teams really want this win. And I think maybe a little bit of nerves are getting to them where these decisions are just go, go, go. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it.
I mean, maybe they also think that just now they're just winning, so they want to take as many team fights as possible, I guess, right? They're coming out of these positive usually. However, this Corki 14-6 is going to be pretty scary now with this Shirldo's build. Oh my gosh, what a big ult from the Wukong here. However, Bulyu does try to stopwatch, does get it off, but dies in the end still. So now only 4 players up for Oakland. Wozek is TPing in on the right side flank here, does manage to come through, and the E comes out, does hit the Ahri. This is going to be a lot of chunk damage onto that character. And Oakland's going to look to actually push forward after the trade-off from from the jungler from GMU side. The Rakan W does come through. Wozek trying to go in still. Bensep does get the stun onto the Corki. All players from GMU pretty low here. The ult comes out from Wozek. Also, this Ahri dead. Rakan dead. Looking to take mid and inhib here.
They might try and end the game at this point. They have a minion wave there. They'll go top, push in. Maybe they don't have quite enough time. I mean, there's 30 seconds on 2 members, and Wozek...
Bensep in, and we're going to look and see as... We're going to see, the Nautilus is dead. Here comes Wozek onto the Corki. Does get traded out, however. Bensep looking to maybe do something. That's a lot of damage from the Corki, however. Does pick up 3 kills here. No tower from the Nexus.
That was an interesting fight because I think for a moment Oakland forgot that towers existed, and so they just kept fighting onto them and took a bunch of tower shots. So
that Corki has a lot of gold up. It's standing on 1,500 gold. Maybe this is that BF sword might come into something pretty soon.
That is a scary, scary Corki. And you know, the sad part is that if Corki were not incredibly fed, I don't know if Wozek could die in any fight because he got so fed early.
Yeah.
But now that is a mortal Wozek.
Yeah, a little bit.
Can die.
Like I was saying, right? The Shirldo is going to be shredding a lot of this armor from Wozek. However, that Sterix definitely going to help a bit as the Drake start here from GMU. We're going to see the W from Bulyu does just go wide, and this Dragon is going down so fast. Here comes the Ahri to pull up the rest of the damage, and yes, they get the Dragon, get out. Oakland may be looking to try to do something in 2.5 minutes with this Baron, but I don't really know. They're looking to maybe get a play onto this Corki as everyone's backing for the rest of them. However, spotted on the blue ward now. The ult does come out from Bensep. The stun into the charm. The smite does come through. Also, Bulyu does not manage. However, Bensep with that extended Q does manage to do something. The stun comes through onto the Nautilus, but managed to hook out. And now maybe looking to siege tier 3 here on the bot side. The charm comes through. However, onto Wozek, not much damage. And still pushing with this minion wave. That tower is gone. The inhib probably also gone. This might be an end coming through.
A really smart play by Bensep on the Pantheon to get behind the Corki, knowing he's got nowhere to go as long as you go behind
ultimate.
him.
Oh, the Wukong ult, though, is also big. Here comes the Ahri, and it's a large scrap here with Zek in there, taking a lot of damage, does die in the end. That's a big Rakan ult. However, Bensep does manage to pick up the Wukong, and Bulyu able to pick up the Nautilus. This is actually just over now, basically. Now they're just looking for kills, open Nexus, minions hitting, yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of super minions in there. GMU kind of neglecting their own base. At some point, Ahri actually teleported back into her own base, wasting that resource trying to kill minions because I think they just lost track of where they were. So whenever you look toward the end and there's a team fight going on, and then when the team fight's over, you see the base has 10 super minions in there.
Yeah.
There's probably some kind of mistake made in there. But Bensep did a really good job closing out the game by ulting behind Corki and taking out that kill. Once they get that kill, they know it's just over with the minions pushing in, so it's just a matter of time and pushing in. So smart by them. A little bit of a mistake by GMU at the end, just Corki not understanding that Pantheon's on the other team, and you can't push up alone in those scenarios. Especially when you know that the enemy team is within range.
Right.
So.
Yeah, like you were saying, Zek was mortal with that Corki around. However, Corki dead. Zek's now immortal again.
Mortal with the Corki around, but it still takes 4 members to take him down. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, it's funny because you go and look at the scoreline. It's like, Corki's 18-7, and he probably had a really big impact in the game. He did a ton of damage.
Yes.
But the monster of that whole game, and that's why I just kept talking about it, is the Alawi, because it just warped how the entire game worked. For GMU, half the game they were talking about how are we going to ever stop this champion. And they just never really found a way. Oakland didn't have the cleanest way to close out the game the last few minutes, but they did it. Job is accomplished, and that game wasn't particularly close. It was a close game.
Mid-game was pretty close.
But I never saw GMU pushing into our base after a one fight. Sometimes they traded and got some objectives and got some towers, but they never just got to push because they had the upper hand. And so it really was like Oakland had, the steering wheel the whole game, and it was just sometimes we just threw a little bit. It took us a little bit back.
Well, I mean, when you really think about it, right, in terms of towers and stuff, Oakland took every tower. GMU took mid-tier 1, 2, took top tier 1, and I think took bot tier 1. They didn't push any tier 3s.
Right, and both mid towers were trades.
Yes,
that was giving up Drake to get a tower.
Right.
So not really winning in that scenario.
True, more even, right? But nonetheless, I think that we're going to take it to a quick break as we go to the next lobby here. But more to come very shortly.
We'll see you when we get back.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. We're a little late for draft, but nonetheless, it'll be okay. GMU picking red side this time. So Maokai first pick, Skarner, MF 2-3, Lilia Tristana, and then the Camille blind. It's actually interesting.
That's bold. I wonder if it's flex, but Skarner, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, flex to it could be Camille support. That's actually a thing.
Yeah. So, that's really interesting. That's bold because the OU top laner was took over the game last time and dominated in the laning phase. So to blind, if that's not a flex into him, is that's rough.
I guess I could see if the top laner, or I'm sorry, the support plays any Camille. Looks like that's a negative on the Camille play.
Yeah, at least on that account. A lot of the
I guess
times
that's true.
These league players have multiple accounts, and
sure.
sometimes, some of them will just throw up an account and just say it's their best account.
Oh yeah.
Hard to police that, but it does happen.
3 top lane bans, all bruisers for Zach. However, the Sylas into, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if you ban another mid. Maybe you have to. You have to blind something here, right, for Oakland, so they call a ban.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're gonna see if they choose support or top here. I think that GMU is gonna want to try to keep this flex as long as they can. So maybe a mid comes out here, but that gives Hensep a counter pick, right? So, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see which draft I like so far, and it's a little bit too early.
Fresh. So here's your range champ.
There's that range. I didn't say it was a range champion. I asked you if it was ranged or melee. So
is Camille going top?
I actually, what's funny is, if I remember correctly, I think Thresh is categorized as a ranged champion. This is what I remember. There was support items where if you auto-attacked a minion as a melee character, it would auto-blow it up and give you the gold, your teammate the gold. I don't think Thresh can do it. He has to last
He definitely did. I played that because I played at the end of that.
Okay.
And I played Thresh. That was my first
You're able to just hit it full health and it kills it?
Not full health. They would execute at what?
300
below half or whatever?
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the current threshold, but only melee champs could do it, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough. Because I thought that everyone could. It's just that range champs took the spell knife one.
You might be talking about something that's later than I am. I'm talking about
maybe
4 years ago or something.
Then no.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know the development of support items.
They might have changed it for Thresh also after that point. So
yeah,
it's
maybe.
possible. We'd have to get Joe on here and tell us about that because he would know.
Yeah.
I was not a support main. I just remember that being something my support would complain about.
Oh, really?
That he had to actually last hit it as Thresh.
Huh. Well, I take your word for it then. We see that Wazek comes out on the Ornn. Not really a carry champ, but
what's funny about
something.
What's funny about Wazek is a lot of the times when he picks these top lane tank champions that are not carries, he still ends up trying to blow up the lane and carry anyway. It's just part of his playstyle. He doesn't really play to not fight in the lane and sit back, so he'll still end up trading here and trying to win the lane against Camille.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an okay matchup, right? Ornn has, I think, too much health for Camille to really go through, especially early on. Maybe when you get Triforce and so on, something, but especially early, I think that Wazek can try to take a lead and probably push it, honestly. As you've seen Wazek do in the end.
There is a lot of interactions too between Camille and her dash towards you and the knockup, and Ornn can interrupt that with his knockup.
The E? Yeah.
Or his ult, if he times it correctly, he can also interrupt it there.
Yeah.
So, and with Camille, if you get interrupted during that interaction, you don't have a way to get out, and you've also not stunned or dealt damage to that champion yet. So it leaves you high and dry. So I think maybe that's why Wazek feels really comfortable picking Ornn into this matchup. Taking a look at the teams just to see, how we're scaling. I think both teams scale really well, actually. Camille's very strong late. Azir's also very strong late.
Yeah, that's what I'm a little worried about. This Azir, I mean, I guess it was the the MF that was doing the most in terms of right on Corky last game. So not necessarily as scary. But, I mean, Azir into Tristana, I think that I'm pretty sure you can buffer Azir ult with Tristana W. I don't know if you can.
You can interrupt it if that's what you mean.
Like you can jump. So like if it were to hit you, you can jump, and you will still jump to where you were wanting to go.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you get canceled.
You can react to getting CC'd by like spamming W right before you get CC'd.
Right.
Yeah, you can do the same thing with like Blitz Hook and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Although it might be different with knockups.
That's what I'm saying is I just don't know if I don't know if it works for Azir. I think it does.
I think it does because you're kind of inputting it before you get hit. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
I think it does, but I don't fully know in the end. Regardless, though, Skarner is a pretty good champ, even with the nerfs that came out recently. Just completely base damage nerf across the board. Still is played quite a lot in pro play, though. MF can be really scary also. However, I think that the Sivir is going to have quite a fun time running around with that spell shield.
Right, yeah. I'm just looking at GMU trying to see who can get to Sivir if she's ulting, right? And then engage. Thresh probably can't. I mean, that hook range really isn't going to do it. And then also spell shield saves her. Camille, yeah, maybe with the ult. If you spell shield Camille ult, can you just walk out?
I don't know. I don't know the interaction.
That's interesting.
I guess we have to find out. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Camille ult is... I don't think you have to cast it direct. I don't think the cast has to hit someone. I think you target someone, right? And then she jumps on them.
Yeah.
And then I think it just happens regardless. Like, I don't think like Morgana E can block it, for instance. Or like, I don't think that Nautilus spell shell can block me.
Yeah.
I'm not Nautilus. Nocturnes.
It's kind of interesting because it's not exactly CC.
Right.
Like you would typically think about, but we'll see. Spell shield might even be like, even if Morgana E doesn't block it, spell shield might, because it's like I'm blocking the whole ability.
Oh, really?
And not just CC.
Not just the CC.
Because that's what Morgana does. Is it'll do magic damage and CC. Sivir will block the whole ability, so it's kind of interesting. So we'll see what happens there. I'm sure we'll see that interaction. We'll probably also see the Tristana jumping out of Azir ult.
I would hope so. I mean, when you were talking about who can get onto Sivir, I mean, the Skarner, the Camille, and the Azir are all pretty big threats, I think, right? The Skarner E through wall, the Azir shuffle, right, with the QE. I mean...
But if you're Azir, right, at like a high level, right, and you're going to try and E flash even and then ult, Sivir just hits the E button and she's walking away.
Right.
It's all good. So that's a lot to commit to have that just have nothing happen. Yeah. I think, maybe Skarner flashing in or Camille like E flashing on top of Sivir, trying to hit her before he can react. FGH can react on Sivir Bullet U to actually get that spell shield, because a lot of these champions are just hitting with that one initial ability, and if you don't get that ability on Sivir, she's walking away with the ult. So it's interesting. There's also a lot of peel on the team too. There's Ornn, there's Maokai. The Tristana ult will also peel. So these are things that, when the enemy team's trying to engage onto Sivir, they're going to have a hard time doing that. All of this to say, if Bullet U on Sivir gets ahead, I think we're in an okay spot. I think it's okay. Both teams scaled, though, so it'll be interesting to see how the early game goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the lane also will be pretty good, but we're going to have to find out, when we get into game. Spectator delay has started, so we're just going to cut it to a quick break and then pick up once we get in.
All right.
Alrighty, back into it. Now game 2 we have coming from Oakland and GMU. Looking for a 5 open bot lane here. Or I guess 5 open bottom mid, I guess, from the invade.
Just a 5-man invade. You know, keep it simple. You're trying to throw out all these technical terms.
Yeah,
this isn't
right,
Overwatch.
This is Overwatch.
5-man invade, that's all. GMU goes for it. Do not pick up anything. They're just looking for an OU straggler. There was not one. An interesting 5-point by Oakland. We decided not to cover that bot brush, leaving the team a little bit vulnerable if they happened to walk through there with all 5, but they did not.
Yeah. However, this is a pretty good position for bot lane of GMU, looking to try to get something early from this MF and Thresh onto this Maokai. I don't know. We'll see. Also, something that we didn't catch during draft that we saw now was Zek mid. And he actually jumps in onto this Azir.
Press the attack.
He's taking over lane.
Press the attack.
Oh
so
my gosh! It's lost. Mid lane lost for GMU. It's just over.
I'm not really sure what Azir was doing there. Maybe trying to get a ward down onto OU's red buff.
So you see that we can see here. Actually, I can go over to it. There is a ward here. That's
our
Oakland's ward actually.
Right. So he did not have vision of Triss.
Huh.
I think he was walking in to try and get vision of the enemy red buff or the OU red buff, and just didn't realize that Triss was on the other side of the wall and decided.
Oh, look at the invade here. Bensap's going in on the blue now. So this Skarner clears red into Krugs into Raptors, but that blue buff and the Gromp is also gone now.
Yeah, really smart play by Bensap. Going in onto Hensap here, not a top laner. That is our mid laner going top with Ornn. So this will be interesting to see how that laning phase plays out. But Bensap, really smart play, invading that jungle. So we have a fight in the bottom lane here.
Yeah, Shaggy's in deep. The flash does come out. The Q maybe. Both supports taking down each other's ADC. The flash comes through from. Oh, wait, Bensap just misses the Q. And then, actually, the first blood does go over to Bully You. So I guess Bensap just had the foresight that we didn't. Bensap looking to go forward, maybe try to cancel the MF recall, and she does slightly. So more press from Oakland's bot lane here. Wazek still doing so good in lane. Push this Azir, although it's actually probably okay. This Azir now at
have an altercation here between the junglers. Bensap caught out a little bit in Skarner's jungle, and the Thresh is going to capitalize on this. Mishook. But I don't think he's getting away here. Maokai, the W root actually slows him down.
Wait, this is okay. Wazek actually comes in with the jump. Shaggy does pick up the kill, however. Bensap makes it out, and now we'll look to recall and maybe come out for this Drake now. Spawning in a minute and a half. Hensap not doing so good in this lane versus the Camille early, but does kind of make sense in the end. And Bully does reset, get that pickaxe up in terms of item, but we'll see what this MF will do. Maybe recall after this wave.
The most important thing that happened there is Scumbag Joe, Shaggy, stealing the kill one more time on that Maokai.
What's that? That's the fourth steal?
Wazek was right there in auto range. Definitely had the kill. Maokai throws out that tree branch and just takes him down. So, Shaggy, you can hit the S button and your champion will not auto attack.
I think we should ask him that.
He's gonna come flame me after this cast. He's gonna be like,
here comes a bit of a skirmish here from Shaggy and the jungle. However, Hensap with a nice knock up there in the end. Bensap's also here. Was Zek able to come from the enemy jungle? Does manage to pick up that kill. And the Feat of Warfare, as we see, is claimed for Oakland. However, Bully U, a little bit of a situation here. However, a lot of damage with that Q. And continuing, the flash does come through. Attack helicopter does go down. Maybe gets a second kill here for Bully U. Also fully following this Thresh through. The shield is pretty good from the Lantern, but yeah.
Bully on Sivir just decides to 2v1 the enemy team. Going to get away with it here, and definitely not dead, so I don't know what this enemy support is doing here.
Wait, the Ignite does come through?
He's got lifesteal. He's good. Yep.
Okay,
this is wild.
Bully free 3-0. Shaggy does get the root in the Q. And Bensep does pick up the kill. Shaggy actually lives off of that. That tower is pretty ramped, though. And Bensep also gets out. So Wazek now gets a free plate here. And, I mean...
This is turning into what we always refer to it as a Clown Fiesta type game.
Yeah, Oakland with almost a 3K gold lead at 5 minutes.
At 5 minutes?
At 5 minutes. Looking at golds, right, Wazek up 1,000 almost. The funny thing is that Hensap, while losing this lane, because of the assist, is actually almost even in gold.
The funny part is that if you consider the first 2 minutes of the game as like minions spawning and actually nothing happens, we're on track to be plus 1,000 gold a minute, or close to it, and that is kind of ridiculous. So
this support might get followed up here. The level 3 Thresh, the W, the Q actually goes the wrong way. Here comes the Skarner, however. And the hook comes out onto Shaggy. Shaggy picks up another kill, and Attack Helicopter does get the trade. However, Bulyu looking at 2v1 this. Does manage to pick up one with those auto attacks, and actually just a full level up over this MF. This MF does need a recall with Zek, taking some damage from those soldiers. However, the lane does go in his favor. Looks to roam top here, trying to maybe catch off this Camille.
I don't know why Misfortune is staying under tower here.
Bulyu... Wait, Bulyu dies?
No,
Bulyu doesn't die. He had barrier anyway. So Bulyu walks on a tower, gets the extra kill, 5-0 now, and it just walks away for free.
I am so baffled right now. This looks like we're playing a completely different team than last game.
The knockup comes through from Hensap. Another charge here from the W, and Shaggy's there. However, the Camille does manage to get out in time. And that's Void Grubs going over to Oakland, maybe looking to open towards bot now. However, maybe a mid play here with 4 players from Oakland looking to collapse onto the Skarner. The Raptors not able to get much. But that Tristana ult comes and does manage to pick up the Skarner in the end. And Hensap does manage to pick up that kill.
Wow. That was a crazy play by Wazek, just pushing Skarner back into his own jungle to get taken down by Maokai. That was wild.
That actually, I didn't really expect that to go over the wall. I don't know. I thought he was too far. Regardless, Oakland looking to clear down is Bensep, and Bulyu is just getting all this free solo XP, mind you, right? Up 2 levels over MF now, and here comes Shaggy, maybe looking to do a flash play. Hensap on top lane here. Bit of a skirmish. The W comes through the cleanse, however, and the MF might just be out, but that's another free push here from Oakland. Looks like 4 players looking to open bot now. Maybe go for a little bit of a gank here. The Skarner actually looking to go blue.
Yeah,
however,
traded Maokai Flash for MF Cleanse. Not worth it for OU, but it might be one of those cases where we're so far ahead we just feel like we can fight them at any time and get away with it. So
yeah, the unfortunate thing though, this Camille looking rather scary. Oh, here comes the E from Skarner. Carries Shaggy into the team. However, the MF can't really do much. And here comes Wazek just off screen. The Skarner ult does come through with the help of the Thresh hook. Bulyu does get hooked. The spell shield tries to come through, but nothing. And there's no sleep from Bensep here either.
Well played by GMU, just making the most out of the situation and making sure to punish OU. A little bit over-aggressive there, and definitely getting hooked by Thresh is not great as Sivir.
Yeah, the hook into the Skarner ult, actually I didn't really expect it to happen too much, but that's definitely something that can occur. Shaggy does pull his wave. Bensep comes through, does actually hit the bowling ball, and the R does come through onto the Thresh. That is a dead Thresh, but Shaggy takes the kill again. That's 3 kills to Shaggy now.
Scumbag Joe.
Shaggy does have
another kill.
Kills
Joe,
equal to combined his top jungle and mid lane.
Joe, if you watch this VOD, I'm not calling you a scumbag. I just support to steal kills. That's all. So I love you, buddy.
No twit longer, please.
No, I don't need another one. Okay, we got one.
The Drake is being started here by Oakland. Looks like it's going to be finished soon as well. There it is. And, I mean, there's really no response from GMU, right? Hensep's only job here is to just basically live in lane. He is literally just trying to exist as much as he can. Look to maybe play team fights in the end. However, this Camille, as we said before, is getting pretty strong. That Sheen doing a lot of damage here, as we see.
It's a really interesting interaction I didn't think about. Camille's able to jump off of Oren's post that he puts down, which is really interesting. Yeah. So in that case, he actually jumped off of it in the middle of the lane toward Oren to engage.
Yeah. Oh, there's a knockup, however. Venom does get the shield, and Zek does get shuffled in, but there's the W. Yep.
Wow. That's really cool that interaction works that way. And it's kind of unfair for Azir because he did everything he needed to do there to get a free kill, and
that's a big cancel.
Doesn't die.
Yeah. Bensap does spot the Skarner on ward. Here comes Shaggy also, and Hensap also down to maybe try to get something. Arnold does come through, does manage to knock up. However, the ult comes through from Skarner onto Bensap. This is a dead Skarner, maybe also dead Azir. No, looks like Oakland's backing off for these grubs that are spawning in 2 seconds now after the enemy jungler does fall.
This game would be so much fun to play as Oakland right now. It just looks like the whole team is just walking around the map getting whatever they want. Zek needs to get out of here, and so does Joe. Better dodge this hook. Flash and a well-placed hook will take down Shaggy. Probably a shutdown because he has a lot of gold at this point. A lot of kills on Shaggy. So.
Some pretty good damage from Bully, however, up 2 levels still on attack helicopter. The spell shield does come out, and the flash has to be burned. That Q, however, does manage to kill Bully in the end. No shutdown, though, so that's some pretty good news. But nonetheless, it's a kind of an awkward kill, actually.
Yeah, didn't use a barrier there. Maybe he just didn't think he was going to die, and then messed up like the auto W cancel with Sivir, unfortunately. So I think he expected more damage to come out, and it just didn't because of some mechanical issues there in that case. So
yeah, Bensap though looking pretty good, looking to gain top lane here with the bowling ball. Does hit actually. Can they get the drowsy? No R, no sleep from Bensap on this. However, it does give Hensap some nice space. Maybe look to re-dive here actually. The bowling ball does miss from the W there. The Skarner now here. Zek looking to try to interfere a little bit with that play and does so. However, Oakland calls off the top dive. Looking to maybe open up, try to get some of these jungle camps and further the lead of Bensap. And Zek's just trying to look here and push some more, get some more gold scale.
So now we're 13 minutes into the game. Dive bot lane.
Attack helicopter is dead. That's plus 332 gold, and Shaggy also gets the plate gold there as well.
So 13 minutes into the game, we're up 3K gold now. Now 5 minutes, we're up 2K gold. So we really haven't increased too much, and that
may be a kill. Although Shaggy does get traded out. Zek also gets traded out here. Even if that's a kill to the Sivir, which it is.
Yeah, this is a worrying trend for me. You know, we're still in a good position to win this game, and we're taking down objectives, which I like to see, but I just feel like we got a little bit silly there in the middle of the game or the early game where we felt like we were so far ahead we couldn't lose, and you can lose games at this point. Both teams scale, which means the enemy team does scale as well.
Oh, the sleep. The flash, the W does hit the Q, does not land too well, and looks like the Azir's out. Does not have to burn that flash. The bird does manage to get the kill. What a W. From downtown, actually. Bensap manages to pick up that Azir kill, and Shaggy follows the Thresh in. The Shrub does come through, but actually double tower here also. The hook onto Shaggy. Shaggy does Q, slows down a little bit, does manage to catch out the Skarner here. However, that Skarner ult into the MF ult hurts a lot, but that's a kill on the Bully. Following up here, maybe looks for more, but no, looks to back out here, try to get Drake as it spawns in 30 seconds.
What a cool combo, the Skarner MF ult, where you just bring him into an area and you just let him sit there in the MF ult. It's really cool to see. Well, it didn't work out in that case, but I think if MF had more gold, that really is scary. I mean, you could take out a few members just from that.
I mean, this MF, the fact that it's 15 minutes and doesn't have her first item yet, while Bully has 2 completed items now, that's got to hurt, right? I mean, MF needs another, 40 minutes to scale.
Yeah, MF doesn't scale as hard as Sivir, though. I mean, really. Nope. MF is better early in mid-game, also, and Sivir is stronger late game.
little bit of a skirmish here top. Maybe no. This is Zero builds Leandry's first, actually.
Trying to shred through the Ornn and the Maokai just to make sure that that front line that he'll be hitting the most actually dies out. That's the theory. You know, I'm not saying that it's correct, but
sure,
that'd be the reason why you would go that way, is you're worried about Maokai and Ornn just tanking everything.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it a couple of times, but I usually see Nashor's Teeth get built first, right? But here's second Drake going over to Oakland, and Hensap just trying to live as much as he can here in top lane. Venom up 2 levels on this Camille, and as Rift Herald spawns in 10 seconds, Oakland does see the top laner, Fryer GMU, looking to stage top here, and maybe a bit of a skirmish over the mid-jungle, the top mid-jungle here. Looks like no, everyone's going to be backing up a little bit. We're going to see Bully pick up the red buff here also. Maybe look to try to fight this 4v4. Looks like both mid laners are going bot. Oh, this Thresh is caught out a little bit. That's a lot of damage here for Bully. There's no tower there. The Maokai ult does come through also. Yeah, the Thresh is gone. Now this is a 4v3. Maybe even more if this Camille does manage to back. However, the TP will come through in the end if they want to skirmish over this. But it looks like GMU is just giving up the Herald in the end.
Right, you're going to have to give it up here. And, you know, so Oakland's in a really good spot here. 5K gold up, 16 minutes, taking down more objectives. We got 2 Drakes, taking the Rift Herald here. So we're doing good. We just need to continue to push our advantage and close out this game. The dicey part about this game, if you're Oakland, the only thing that you're worried about is really just the Camille, because you don't have a way to split push against that and stop her alone. There's
oh
not
my
really
gosh,
a
look at that damage. Oh, the W does manage to buffer against that. However, Wazek is getting thrown by 3 people, but the ult onto the Skarner actually prevents that.
Wow.
Excellent R to prevent that dive. And that's a top tower, maybe even tier 2 as the, oh my goodness, this Camille just, the Camille just assassinates Wazek there. However, this might be a tier 2 also on top. Traded for bot tier 2. We'll have to see if they end up taking that bot tower. And maybe even more, actually, with 6 grubs. That's a lot of tower damage.
Yeah, Wazek did so much to stay alive and then overstayed a little bit and just died for it. But
wait, does this Herald get a crash into inhib? Oh my gosh, it does. Oh my gosh.
So a lot of inhib damage from Oakland, taking several towers in the top lane, pushing that lead, just making sure that we're clearing objectives and making progress towards ending the game, which is what you want to see if they're up early.
Yeah, oh, they actually do take the inhib there.
Sivir ult.
Yeah, here it comes. That Thresh so low HP, the Ignite does come out, and Shaggy does manage to pick up his 4th kill of the series, or of the game. And here comes Bully looking onto this MF, does get the follow-up with the Ornn ult, and Bensap there with the W as well. A little bit of an overkill maybe from Bensap there, but nonetheless, there's not really any objectives to necessarily play over before that ult comes back.
Yeah, something that I've noticed watching our league squad play is Shaggy, one of his strong suits is just being able to take tower aggro at the right times and juggle it very well, and that's something that is quite difficult to learn, and just understanding when you need to be to take the tower damage and when you need to get out to maximize that amount of tankiness that you have. You know, supports are tanky, but they're not full tanks. Right. And so this Maokai is actually quite squishy while taking tower damage.
Yeah, as we say that, Shaggy gets caught out a little bit here. Oh my gosh, the Triforce damage from the Camille is crazy with that Titanic Hydra as well.
Yikes.
Oh, there's another hook, however, and Bully does get caught. However, the Maokai ult able to follow up, and here's the MF ult on top of it. Everyone's into this pile, and the shuffle comes through the Azir. However, it's 2 for 2 right now. Can Oakland manage to get out? The teleport from Wazek, he's like, nope, I'm out of here. And now everything settles as is a 2v2 skirmish in that jungle there.
So really interesting, in that fight, we actually saw the interaction where Camille tried to ult Sivir, and Sivir spell shielded it and just walked away. So that is how that works. You can just spell shield the ult. So that's something that you'll see Bully hang on to during a team fight, is until Azir or Camille ults him, maybe Skarner, he won't blow that spell shield. So he'll try his best to not get hooked at all and not be in range to be hooked, so he doesn't have to waste a spell shield on a hook. He can wait for somebody to waste their ult to block it.
Runa's Icon has spawned bot now, And we're going to see Oakland try to get some vision and take over bot lane here. We'll see what happens in the end. Also, Drake will be spawning in 20 seconds, so this is going to be a pretty valuable set of objectives. And as we say that, that's a nice E from the Thresh to prevent Hensap's knockup. However, Shaggy does get caught out a little bit here. Double Skarner ult. However, Wazek does manage to pick up the Thresh in the end. The Skarner comes through, and nothing really happens with that MF ult either. That is 2 big ultimates down for the side of GMU. Actually, as I say that, maybe that's a spectator bug. I swore that I saw MF ult.
Yeah, MF will have ult for this fight. Wild Psyduck did a really good job of doing everything he could to get out of there, but it just wasn't quite enough, so he got captured by Ashe at the end of the day.
Yeah,
taking down the Atacon, and now they're going to take down the Drake. I thought for a moment they were going to try and take both at the same time, and that would have been pretty bold.
Yeah, however, we do see as Azir will take this mid-tier 2, but nonetheless, Ruinous Atacon with 6 grubs is actually insane. As I said earlier to you, this Ruinous Atacon does increase objectives bonuses by 25%, and we're going to see a little bit of a double ult here. Does manage to pick up the MF. Actually, the MF has a cleanse. Looks to try to kill now the Skarner. Caught out here a little bit. Hensep does not get the knock-up. Skarner does manage to pick up 1 Heart Steel stack there, 2, and dies for it. Can the Oakland squad now rotate and maybe catch out this Azir? Bullywu's looking very deep, maybe. This Camille might just be able to get out with the E off the wall. The flash does come through, actually, from Shaggy into the W. The spell shield there, as we said before. The ult comes out from these... The Azir does manage to pick up Bullyu in the end, however, dies to Wazek nonetheless. The Drowsy does come out in the R from Bensep, does get the sleep onto the Thresh here, and the follow-up does come through Wazek with the triple kill.
Now, interestingly enough, GMU doesn't have a top lane inhib, so they go kill all the minions, and now they have super minions pushing into that lane. So not only does GMU have to spawn, but they have to go clear top lane before responding to mid, or if they ignore top lane, it'll start pushing into their base. So this would be something Oakland would want to continue to pressure to take advantage of those super minions in top lane. I would not be backing off here, although they are somewhat low on mana, so they do.
Yeah, maybe just looking to try to clear out this bot side jungle from GMU and take what they can. We see Wazek does take the Gromp here, looking to set up some vision, try to push for this bot tier 2, maybe even bot tier 3 eventually.
And look at this, the amount of gold on some of these champions. Like Sivir is 12-4 with 200 CS, which is massive at 22 minutes. I mean, just huge. 3 full items at this point. Tristana 2 full items and 6 kills, 220 CS. So the champions on Oakland side are pretty strong. Oakland's up 5k gold, so we're in a position here where we should be able to close out this game.
Oh, Wild Psyduck does get caught out here on the Thresh there, and Bullyu picks up the 13th kill. Wazek does buffer out, but the Azir doesn't use ult. There it is in the end. However, a kill from Bensep does manage to burn in the end. The TP here from the Camille actually gets followed by Shaggy's W. However, here comes the Skarner as well. The ult comes out from Shaggy as well. R's from about everyone on Oakland's side, and there goes Venom in the end. Can they kill Hydroshi on the Skarner? Does get the ult, however, Bullyu manages to pick up the kill in the end. That ult from the MF also doesn't do too much. Bullyu trying to get that kill, but does not in the end finish the MF. Attack helicopter does manage to get out.
3 members from Oakland barely lived through that. And again, we see the Skarner MF combo.
Yep.
So fun. And I think if the gold, was more even, then that would end up killing a lot of our members and be pretty devastating. So I like the idea that GMU had with that draft, and it's really interesting to see that. But in that case, it just didn't work out for them.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see this Azir does have Rabadons and like 200 gold. So this might be a little bit of a scary situation for Oakland unless they can kill that very fast. However, with Baron spawning in about 20 seconds, Oakland's going to look to try to get some vision topside, get some control, some prio, and then push for this Baron, and maybe even the end if they find out someone in the end. They do see this Camille. The W does not quite come out from Shaggy yet. Here he comes in the end. The W, the Q into Bullyu. Here comes Hensep as well. The knockup, however, does not land. The Hextech Ultimatum does not do much, and that's a dead Camille. This might just be an end game. Although, no, it looks like they're going to push to Barron in the end here.
Without Camille, it's a really scary concept to try and come and stop Oakland from taking Barron. Not that Camille is a huge piece of it, but they're so far behind they can't afford to fight anybody 4v5. So be interesting to see what they do. I mean, it looks like they're not even going to try to contest it. It's already down.
Yeah. Bensap, Wazek, and Bulliu deal insane damage to this Baron. And we saw it just then, right? So now they're going to look to push mid-wave. They're going to look to push this tier 3, maybe even get inhib. And now to maybe look to open bot also for this Cloud Soul that's just spawning in about 30 seconds.
I mean, not only does Bulliu have 3.5 items, but he's got the upgraded Infinity Edge from Ornn, so it's even worse. This is really scary at this point from GMU. And, you know, if I were on their team, I'd be calling for something kind of ridiculous. You know, champions have to be flashing into the backline, all trying to CC Sivir all at the same time.
Yeah, although as we say that, Shaggy is caught out here and does die for it. However, here comes Bulliu, does spell shield the Skarner ult, and all ults are thrown into here. That's a 4-man ult from Bensap and the ace of a 4 for 5, or I'm sorry, a 1 for 5 ace. The Azir just goes and leaves. GMU does close out. And Oakland is going to look to take bot tier 3, take inhib, take Nexus towers, and in the end, take the Nexus 2-0 Oakland.
A dominant showing. Game 1 was not particularly close. This game was not close at all. GMU falling 0-2, Oakland taking it 2-0, and they took first place in the conference, an undefeated perfect record heading into the playoffs. And this is a really important season for Oakland League of Legends team, pushing for NACE top 8 in Orlando, trying to fly out for the national championships. And this is a showing that says we deserve to be there.
This is, and not only that, but not only did we go 8-0, but we only dropped one game the entire regular season. One game last week, right? And other than that, it was flawless. I mean, Oakland, we can see I know that not necessarily people at home can see the stats here, but I have them pulled up. In terms of damage numbers, Bulliu, 40,000 damage. Actually has more damage than the entire enemy team combined, I think.
Close. Yeah, but a lot of damage. A lot of damage. I mean, that is crazy. Way more than anybody else on Oakland. And
maybe give or take 10,000, but that's like a quarter of what he did. So
incredible.
It's a lot of damage.
It's a ton of damage. And also, it's just interesting to point out, it's 26 minutes into the game when they ended.
Yep.
Sivir is a mid-late game champion. Not particularly strong early, and he was 1v2ing in the lane alone.
Yeah. Picks up that Essence Reaver so early and managed to just extend the lead further, right? Something we permanently said when laning phase was still going on. Bulliu up 2 levels after Shaggy does all this roaming, so he gets so much solo XP and just runs with it in the end, right? Kind of insane. Good job from Oakland. I think we're going to cut it to a quick break, maybe get a player interview, and so we'll be right back. Alrighty, hello everyone, welcome back. I'm here, Captain Shaggy.
Hello.
How's it going today?
Doing good.
Yeah?
Feeling amazing after that win.
Let's
bet,
go. Right? 8-0 going into playoffs, only dropping one game the entire regular season. I mean, how does that feel?
Feels great. It really boosts our confidence going into playoffs.
Excellent. Like I was saying earlier, just a couple of questions, I guess, in terms of some play here. First game looked looked way more competitive than game two. I mean, was it just like a draft thing, kind of feeling out the opponent? What do you think?
So the biggest problem with our team is we're bloodthirsty. Whenever we see a play, we want to fight.
Yeah.
We don't like to play safe, even though we should. But the biggest thing in those games is when we would fight, we would trade and we would get more. So like, the score looked even, but in reality, like our top laner was like a full turret ahead of the enemy one, up a level. So it's like, yeah, it's 17-17, but there's like a 3K gold swing that like kills can't help.
Yeah, that's what we're finding out also here while commentating, right? You guys were honestly about 2 kills a minute, which is kind of insane for league standards. But you were up 3K gold at like 15 or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that happened even more in game 2, right? You guys were up, I think you guys were up like 5K and 10 or something like that. It was crazy. Anyway, regardless, going into, I guess, game 2, right? What do you think they kind of did? I mean, they blinded Camille. Did you guys think it was like a flex or?
No, we thought it was just Camille because this guy's a Camille one-trick.
Oh, really?
Honestly, game 2 was a Coach Andrew Franklin gap.
Oh, really?
From the draft, yeah, shout-outs to him. He's the GOAT, the best drafter ever. Like, we picked so many things. I don't know if we can pull draft up somehow, but
I think that production might be able to eventually.
That's fine. But we first picked Maokai, right?
Yeah, like, there it is, right there.
Beautiful. Yeah, so we first picked Maokai. That's an amazing flex, right? Because it can go jungle. It's a very good like control jungler that will just farm. But we saw like the Skarner pick, and we were like, you know what? We're gonna go Lilia because Lilia can just bully Skarner. Skarner's really useless early game. So like Lilia just gets to do whatever we want. Then we flexed Maokai to top lane and bot. And then we decided that we could pick an ADC. And our top laner, Eric, he loves to play ADCs. So we were like, okay, what if we just put Henry on like a weak side top laner? And you saw, like this game was the Ben Sap, Wazak Shaggy show. Like this guy was getting 3-man down cooldown. He could not play the game.
Yeah, we did see that, and that was actually something that we commented on also with the, I guess not technically a lane swap, right, but more so role swap, I guess.
Yep.
So it was actually it's actually pretty interesting that was something that you guys thought of before coming into the game here. Something I do have to comment on: all the KSing. I mean, was it on purpose? Was it on accident? I mean,
it was not on purpose.
Okay.
I did not intentionally kill Steel, but you know,
it happens. I guess. Huh?
It happens. You know.
That we're done with that topic now. I guess looking into further weeks, right? There's a bye week for you guys until seeding comes out. I mean, are you guys looking at any teams maybe that I guess you wouldn't say or? Are you looking to any teams that you might be nervous about, I guess?
Honestly, we're not extremely nervous because we're coming out of this 8-0, so we're going to get very good seeding. So we're probably going to play like a bottom super conference team or like a top conference team.
Yeah.
And judging by like our performance against other like top conference teams and looking at their ranks, we're not extremely nervous. We're more so looking like further into playoffs, and we're a little more nervous about like game 2, game 3 in playoffs.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, looking forward also, 2 wins, and I believe that almost every team in NACE will go to the LAN in Florida. Obviously, be super cool. Any sort of plans that you guys have for what you might do in Florida if we get any free time?
No clue. Someone will figure something out. You know?
I'm sure. But I think that's all the time that we have for tonight. So thank you, Shaggy, for coming on. And we will see you guys again as soon as NACE playoffs will start.
Yep. Take care, guys. See you.